dating again, it just can be exhausting. It's like, now there are limits to this. All right, we starting off hot and fresh. I told y'all, I'm gonna be honest, there were many times I felt like I wanted to leave the relationship. I don't want to leave because I don't have a house to go to. I've always been a girl who's been in long-term relationships. Now, hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Aniya and Danyea, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Here on this channel, I like to do makeup, hair vlogs, lifestyle videos, a little bit of everything. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe. Y'all, this is another video, a part of my single series. If you haven't already, go ahead and watch the previous videos. I am 27 years old, and recently I just had to move back in with my parents after breaking up from a long-term relationship. I've learned so many things in this process and in this journey. It's been over 7 months now, and I've learned so many things on this journey. I've really learned how to love myself, but I also have been able to deepen and develop a real true connection with God and be able to uncover a lot of the parts that I did not like about myself and I was unable to see while I was in a relationship. For so long, I've always said that breakups were a lesson learned until I was actually broken up with, and I felt like there was no lesson I could learn in that moment. But over these last few months, I've jotted down all the lessons that I've learned while actually learning them in the process, just so I can see how far I've come, and also to share it with you guys and somebody else that may be going through what I'm going through right now in this current moment. While I share that with you guys, I'm also going to show you how I got this beautiful makeup look, okay? But I'm gonna stop rambling. Let's get right into the video. We're gonna get right into it. This is just a disclaimer. Like, first I have a mirror, I'm looking down and I'm reading off my phone, but these are all lessons that I've learned since getting broken up with. This is not to bash my ex in any way. I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from this experience, and I just want to share them with you guys. It's kind of going to be broken up into categories. They're very broad categories. It's about self-love and growth, and then the other one is about relationships. Some of them can overlap, but I'm just breaking them up so I can flow a little bit easier while I'm doing my makeup with you guys. And I'm not going to focus too much on the products that I use, but I will hold them up and still show you guys. If you guys want to know any names of the products, just ask me down below. I'm first going to go in with my e.l.f. Grip Primer, which is a Milk Hydro Grip dupe. This is in no particular order. I'm going to be looking down, but the first thing I learned since getting broken up with is that I need to learn how to communicate better. There are many times where I wasn't communicating my feelings correctly, and I expected my boyfriend to read my mind, and you know, it just does not work like that. I'm taking my e.l.f. concealer and I'm going in and putting it on. While I was in the relationship, my ex did try to teach me a lot of the lessons that I'm going to share with you guys, but a lot of them I also learned them on my own. It's one thing for a person to try to teach you something, but it's one thing for you to learn it on your own, y'all. So the next thing is, I think I'm very emotional, and sometimes I don't always think logically. You know, him and I used to get into a lot of arguments and fights, and he was like, you know, you're acting very emotional, you're using your emotions. And at the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was like, I'm a girl, I'm supposed to use my emotions, you know, you can't tell me how I'm feeling because you're gaslighting me, that's distorting my reality and stuff. Which he was not trying to distort my reality, it was just in turn that, girl, like, you are overreacting in this situation. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and see how they would feel, you know. So I am learning to do better with that. I'm starting in with my Amore Rose. This is a black owned brand. We're gonna go in and take this purplish color to go ahead and pack that in our crease. But another thing I learned that is I'm quick to quit on something or someone without communicating. So I am the type of person that just ghosts. And why do I ghost? Because I'm bad with communication, like I said earlier. I don't like having the conversation of, oh, I did this wrong, you did this wrong, this is how I'm feeling, because I never learned that growing up. So expressing that is hard for me to do, so it's just easier for me to just leave. And I will leave without telling you the reason or addressing anything. I used to lower my standards when I was feeling lonely, so after the breakup, I feel like, you know, I've always been a girl who's been in long-term relationships. Now, I'm being very honest, I'm not ashamed of my past or anything, but please understand that I have grown from this. I'm still not that same person I used to be a few months ago. Yes, a few months ago, because I've learned a lot. When I was feeling sad or missing my ex and stuff, I would settle to talk to people people who I knew like, I really don't see a future with you. Like people I just wanted to talk to for the moment or do things in the moment because I was lonely. I tend to lower my standards, and I was like, girl, it didn't take me long to realize it. It literally took me like 2 weeks to realize. That might be long to some people, but you know, some people go all their lives messing with these same guys because they're lonely and they're settling for less. However, I've learned that like, girl, you can't do that. You are so much more. And I knew I was so much more, but I was like, you know, I just want to be single. You know, I'm not attached to anybody. They can treat me like this. But it's like, what is the purpose of doing this with them when you don't see any future with them, or like you don't see this relationship progressing? It's pointless to me. At the time, I did want to be single. I wasn't dating intentionally, but now I'm to the point like where I'm dating intentionally. I know what I want for myself. That is another point that I've learned while after I got broken up with. When I was younger, I did not always want kids. I did not always think I would be a good mother. I was scared because, you know, I don't say I had a rough childhood, but I've had like traumatic things happen to me in my childhood that I feel like sometimes no children can be protected from. And I fear like, oh, that will happen to my child, or what happen if I'm not a good mother and stuff like that. Now that I'm changing and now that I've realized that I'm getting older, it's like I do want a family. I do want children. I do want to be able to impact my children in a positive way. So that requires me to change, but it also requires me to change like my mindset and beliefs about kids and a family. I used to be scared of starting a family. I used to be scared of having and raising kids. And now like, yes, there are like, I feel like natural fears that come with it, but I'm nowhere near where like I used to be like even just 2 years ago. Like I used to be so scared of having kids. Like I'm not having kids, or oh, I'm getting a surrogate and stuff like that. And my ex-boyfriend always wanted kids, and he wanted a lot of kids. And for me, that was just not something I wanted, but now I do. And I feel like me growing now will make me be a great mother in the future. Okay, so something else that I've learned is that I did not always take accountability. Him and I will argue about this a lot. I always used to think that I was taking accountability, but in reality, I was not. I had a hard time learning how to take accountability and really like identifying what I did wrong and learning how to apologize. Like those are two things that I've learned. Like, girl, you are not doing as good as you thought you were doing in that area. I'm just exposing myself, y'all. I am just exposing myself because I also realized that I used to lie. Like, not like, I don't know how to describe it. Like I feel like, yes, all lying is wrong, but there's different types of lying. Sometimes I would lie and it's like, I'm not telling like a bold-faced lie, but I'm leaving out small details. Like that's like a form of manipulation almost. And that's just straight up lying. And when I was growing up, I used to do that to my mom. Like when I was really young, I used to do that to my mom. And she always used to tell me, it doesn't matter if you're leaving out small details, it's still a lie. Like if you told me half the truth, it's still a lie because you're leaving out small details. So why not just tell the truth? And I would do that as a manipulation tactic. In the moment, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm trying to be manipulative. It just happened to be manipulative. Like I was trying to get my way, but I didn't view it as like, oh, I'm being manipulative. But that's what it was. This next one is like a really big one, and I thought I was doing it well, but I was not. I needed to pay more attention to my ex-boyfriend's feelings and his thoughts about this relationship and the role that he played within the relationship. I feel like because he hurt me in the beginning of our relationship, I really never let that hurt go. And I always felt like, oh, he has to make it up to me. He has to make it up to me. So his feelings are invalid. His role doesn't matter. I run the relationship because I'm the one that got hurt. Whole time I was still hurting him, and I was hurting myself in the relationship after I had already chosen to forgive him. So I think that is why I didn't pay attention. And I realized before it was too late and your girl was getting broken up with, that it was things changing and shifting in our relationship. And I talked about that in my other video, but I didn't pay attention to it because I was being selfish, worrying about my feelings and how like I felt like, oh, he should be making it up to me. And it was like, dang, this man will never get a chance to actually make it up if I don't ever forgive him. Like he didn't stand a chance, y'all. He didn't stand a chance. This other one, it hurt my feelings when I first realized it. Like my ex was preaching this to me while we were in the relationship, but I didn't see it for myself like everything else, and I just thought it was right. Very ignorant. But I let some of my friends' behavior influence me, or made me miss like the single life and the things that they were able to do when they were single and I was in a relationship, like just being outside, being at parties, flirting with guys, and then eventually I fell into that stuff. So I just feel like that is something I really regret, and something that I should have learned a long time ago, to not to like be influenced that much by other people around around you. Like, I am my own person and I do make my own decisions at the end of the day. However, I feel like if you're in that environment, you're more likely to make decisions like that. So I feel like the best thing you can do is like either change your environment and learn how to say no ultimately. But I do feel like changing your environment can help. I'm not saying like I won't hang out with certain people or anything like that. It's just like, girl, you just got to be more aware of the things you can and can't partake in. So yeah, and that's a real hard thing to realize. At least for me. This one is kind of random, but I really learned that like I value the relationship I have with the person I'm with's family. I absolutely loved my ex-boyfriend's family and I still currently love them. Especially if we see a future together, his family is so important to me. And the relationship that I have with them is so important to me because, yo, we gonna be family one day. I'm gonna have to love you. In the relationship, I really thought that I was all for the relationship and trying to get us together. I want to marry this man. And I was chasing after things that I thought would make the relationship better, things that I thought would make me better. But ultimately, I felt like I prioritized the relationship over my relationship with God. And I feel like that is where I went wrong. That is absolutely where I went wrong. Because I started to pay more attention to my relationship. I started to pay more attention to things outside of my relationship more than I was paying attention to God and working on my relationship with him. Y'all, this cut crease, I don't know. It's making me upset. So we're gonna go in with a pink glitter and we're gonna pat that all over the lid. So I feel like in this relationship, like I said, if I wasn't spending enough time with God, I obviously wasn't spending enough time with myself, and I felt like I stopped valuing myself at a certain point, and the value just went into the relationship or occupying other things outside of the relationship. I was scared to leave for many reasons. There are many times in the relationship where I felt like I was unhappy and I would call my mom and tell her like, you know, I wanted to go. However, me and my ex-boyfriend, we like moved in together. I've lived with him basically for majority of our relationship, for almost all 5 years of our relationship. And I was like, I don't want to leave because I won't have a house to go to. You know, I have my parents, but honestly, and I'm currently living with my parents, thank God. They have a place for me to come, but I really did not want to do that because like, you know, I'm like 26 while all this is happening. I wanted my own space. I wanted like somewhere I can come home to, somewhere I can just chill and just breathe at the end of the day. But it's expensive out here and I was not in the position to do that yet. So a lot of the times I was like, okay, we're gonna stay and work it out because I want to be here. I don't want to go home. I'm gonna be here. I love you. I loved him and I wanted to work it out, but it's also because like I don't want to go home back to my parents. I feel like a failure and I was just scared to start all over. On the topic of getting lost in a relationship, me prioritizing this relationship over my relationship with God, I also didn't date myself enough. I stopped dating myself. I stopped doing the things that Aniya likes to do. I'm not saying like I didn't like doing things with him, which I did, but it's just like I stopped doing makeup. I stopped going to the mall as much as I used to go to the mall. I stopped doing the things that I used to do on the regular. Another self-reflection moment was learning that my way of thinking is not always the same as everybody else's, and that is okay. It doesn't make my way of thinking correct and it doesn't make their way of thinking wrong. It just is. Sometimes it just is. I had a hard time accepting being a therapist, right? Crazy. I always view different perspectives, but me personally, I had a hard time viewing things from his perspective a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, I was being emotional and I could not think logical. He would always tell me to think logical and it would upset me because I wanted him to get that I was emotional in that moment, okay? I also had to come to terms that like some of the behaviors that I was doing were just straight up nasty and narcissistic, okay? Like the whole manipulation thing, me trying to control our relationship and moving the goalposts. He always used to say like, oh, you're moving the goalposts or you're changing, like you're just being hypocritical and you're changing things to fit like what worked for you. And there are many times he called me out on it, but I couldn't see it because I didn't want to see it. Being broken up with made me go back and reevaluate some instances in our relationship, and I'm like, wow, he was right. Like, girl, we're moving the goalposts. How is it okay for you to do this, but if he did this, it would be wrong? So I had to acknowledge that. That goes back into taking accountability, okay? The next few things are things I feel like should be absolute number one. I learned that I am not in control, that God is in control always, because a lot of the times I tried to control this relationship I had with this particular person. y'all, we've known each other since we were like 17 and 18. So I've known him a really long time, and I've just had this expectation in my head of how our relationship is supposed to go and when I should do this and when we should have this done by. I had all these expectations in my head, and I had to just learn to let them go and give it to God. The more I tried to force it, the more God would show me that I am not in control. Real quick, y'all, are we liking the eyes? I think I'm about to wing it out. It is so cute. So what are you guys thinking? Let me know right now if y'all like this look. I'm gonna go off camera to do this liner and jump back on here. Alright, y'all, so I did my wing liner off camera, and I'm gonna wrap up like the self-growth things that I have learned. The last few things, I'm just gonna blurt them out real quick and then summarize them. I said I didn't date myself enough. I need to learn how to be more present and get out of my head. Stop always trying to plan for the future, you know. Just let things be. Just let things be. I really have a hard time with just letting things be. Always feeling like I gotta plan and take control. Whether I'm in a relationship or not, I feel like that I'm learning how to become okay with not going out as much, just sitting in the house. I don't have to spend money to go out every freaking weekend. I don't need to spend money to spend out and go hang around strangers or to get like half naked and be around a bunch of guys. For what? If I'm in a relationship. If I'm single, different story, but if I'm in a relationship, what do I need to be doing that for? And lastly, just learning to enjoy the process of it all. Know that things are not gonna always be perfect, and I know that sounds so cliche, but I feel like I had the fairy tale dream like ideal of love in my head, and once I lived life and realized, oh, that's not how this crap work, I was very upset. But I had to learn to let it go and just understand that it takes work to be in a relationship. It is not easy, and it is not like the movies. I had to learn how to be okay with that. So those are all the things that I really had in the self-love section. So we're gonna move on to relationships and what I specifically learned from leaving that relationship and things that I will carry on in my next relationships, and just advice I want to give somebody else that is looking to be in a serious relationship, not just, oh, you my boyfriend, but I'm not gonna put the work in to change the relationship or work on the things that I need to work on. Okay, because that was me. All right, we starting off hot and fresh. I told y'all I'm gonna be honest. I understand, like, on this channel I'm showing more of my Christian journey and my relationship with God. Oh, I got moisturizer on my nose, sorry. And my relationship with God, but I am not a perfect person. Let me start off by saying that, and I have learned from the things that I have done. I'm still working on myself, so that's all I'm gonna say. First things first, y'all, sleeping around, it's not as fun as it seems, okay? I'm gonna be honest and say it's not as fun as it seems. When I first became single, I got on the dating apps and I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is fun. I told y'all I was a relationship person, a serial relationship person, so I don't really understand what it's like to be single. And I feel like being single now is a lot different than being single like maybe when I was in college or high school, okay? The rules are just so much different. The pool is just so much different. So I got on Hinge and I just started dating people, and I realized like the casual dating, it's just not for me, y'all. It's not for me. I realized that I want more than that. I don't want just a casual hookup. I don't want a casual thing. I don't want a situationship. I don't want confusion. So I decided to take a step away from dating and just relax. In me learning to relax and just chill out, I've learned that there are a lot of emotionally damaged men. Like, there are emotionally damaged women, but there are a lot of emotionally damaged men. I've learned this from my time on Hinge, my time from talking to people. Now, y'all, I haven't been single like a whole year yet. I haven't been single for that long, but I've been single, I feel like, long enough, and I feel like I've dated long enough for me to realize that it's a lot of men out here with a lot of red flags, and I am not perfect. Y'all know I'm not perfect. I'm clearly making this video because all the mistakes that I've made. However, there are some things that I just will not compromise on, and some things that I just will not allow myself around. And that is all that I'm gonna say. I know that sounds a little bit scary, like if you are looking to date and get out there, but there are some good men out there, and dating can be fun. Like I said, I didn't know how to date, y'all. I didn't go on dates because I was in a relationship for 5 years, and before that I was in a relationship for 3 years. So it's just like, the girl was not dating. Like, I didn't know what dating really was. I didn't know what dating felt like, but it can be fun. I used to get so scared. I said I used to, like, I'm dating now. I don't date now, but I still probably will get scared when I go on a date. I just get so nervous, and I know, like, being nervous comes with it, you know, it just comes with it. I told this boy one time, like, I was nervous to go on a date with him, and I didn't end up going, but anyways, he was like, well, it's okay because I get butterflies too. And that just like reassured me, y'all. It just made me know, like, oh, these boys really do have feelings too. Like, it's okay to get nervous, it's okay to go out there and meet new people. You know, outside of your comfort zone is where you grow. While it can be fun, it also can be draining. Now, you know, it always is the good with the bad with me, okay? So I'm gonna give you the good, but I'm also gonna give you the bad. Well, not the bad, the real. Like, it can be draining. There are a lot of emotionally damaged men and people out there, y'all. So it's just hard navigating that and learning new people, especially when you come from a long-term relationship and you like know so much about this one person already. Like, you're like, dating again, it just can be exhausting. It's like, it's an extra chore. It's like, I gotta learn to do this, I gotta talk to this person, I gotta talk to that person. I don't know, y'all. It's exhausting sometimes. With it being exhausting, I've learned that I'd rather just meet people out, like, in the real life. Like, these apps are cool and convenient for the people that I work for, that's great, but for me personally, I just rather meet people outside through mutual friends. Never at work, never doing that again. But it's like, talking to these people on apps, I'm a little nervous to FaceTime, so I will not FaceTime a person, or I won't let a person FaceTime me for a minute until I feel like comfortable talking to you, because I just feel weird about it. I told y'all, you know, your girl has anxiety, so it's like, what am I going to talk to this random person about? What are they going to think about me? Like, so many different thoughts run through my head as I think about FaceTiming a random person. Anyways, along with my very first point that I made, I will never have sex again on the first date, okay? Like, ever again. That is the biggest mistake that I've done. I don't know, I just jumped the gun way too fast, and my mom warned me. She was like, don't do that on the first date, don't do that on the first date. And I was like, well, I'm grown, I like the guy, things were going really good, and yeah, things were going really good until they weren't anymore. We're not gonna get into that. So anyways, don't do it, girls, don't do it. And leave the relationship if you feel like you need to leave the relationship. I told y'all earlier, there were many times I felt like I wanted to leave the relationship. If you're feeling like that, then do that, sis. If you're feeling like that, then do that, sis, because you're feeling that way for a reason. Now, don't be irrational. Make sure you're thinking it through about the reasons why you want to leave the relationship. Make sure you're not just doing it off of impulse or out of emotion, okay? You have to know the difference. I know I told y'all earlier that men are emotionally damaged, but another thing that I learned is they hurt, and they hurt deeply, y'all. And I don't think they understand how visible it is sometimes about how bad they hurt, because I'll meet people and within minutes of having like conversation, not minutes, probably some days, probably I can tell like, oh my god, you're going through it, or you've been through it, or there's something going on in your life that you're using like either sex or alcohol or something to help you cope and get over it. A part of me knows that because, you know, I'm a counselor, I'm a therapist, so like a part of me, I psychoanalyze people, but another part of me, I've been there before. I've used other things to cope. I've been hurt. I've seen that outpour, especially in my past relationship. When I look back on those things, like, you're hurting and it's okay to hurt, but you gotta be aware that you're hurting and you gotta get the help that you need. You can't keep blaming your actions on, I don't know. Let me get off that topic, because I can go on that topic for days, y'all. Men hurt and they show their hurt, and they may not be aware that they show it. For a long time, I thought the grass was greener on the other side. Y'all, this dating pool is trash. I was very grateful for the relationship that I had. I took it for granted, and I know that. Looking back now, I know that, and that's one of my regrets, but that's one of the things that I just had to learn the hard way. Of course, there are going to be fights in a relationship. There's going to be arguments in a relationship, but that whole, if one man wants, somebody else will, and they maybe will, but they won't be that same person that you once had, okay? And you need to sometimes recognize, like, even though you're fighting about this one thing, or you have this issue in this area of your relationship, doesn't mean the whole relationship is bad. It doesn't mean that somebody else is going to be better in that area. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I pray for the people that think the grass is green on the other side, and then they end their relationship and realize it ain't that green. It's concrete, baby. It's concrete. If y'all didn't know, I am 27, and I feel like since this breakup and since like just being in this relationship in general, that I have stopped like fearing like having to succumb to the pressures of family and like religious things of like, oh, you need to be married this time, you need to be having a baby by this time. Like, I'm 27. I thought at 25 I would be married, having kids and everything like that. But sometimes life just don't work like that. It just does not work like that. And it's no need to rush it. Things will happen when they're supposed to happen. I think everything falls in place when it's God's time to tell you, like, these things will happen. So I just need to chill out. That goes back to one of my other points, but it's just like, I will have a baby when I'm ready. It's okay if I'm older and my kid is just starting preschool. I'm okay with that. I want to do it on God's timing. I want to do it when I'm ready. I'd rather not have a baby or rush for all these things when I know I'm not ready. Like, I do want a baby. I have baby fever, and I told y'all all the time, we do want a kid, and I do get baby fever. And I used to tell my ex all the time how much I wanted a baby. We joked about it, but we knew, like, realistically, we are not ready for that yet, and we're waiting for that. So I'm gonna finish putting this bronzer on, y'all, then put some blush on and set my face with the Morphe Luminous setting spray, and then jump back on here to wrap up because my camera is overheating. See you guys in a bit.
My mind didn't change and I still feel the same. What's a life with no fun? Please don't be so ashamed. I've had mine, you've had yours. We both know, we know they won't get you like I will. My only wish is I die real, cause that truth hurts and those lies heal. And you can't sleep thinking that he lies still, so you cry still. Tears all in a pillowcase. Big girls all get a little taste out, pushing me away so I give her space out. Dealing with a heart that I didn't break. I'll be there for you, I will care for you. I keep thinking you just don't know. Trying to run from that, say you're done with that on your face, girl.
So I am back and I put my lashes on. I put some black dots on my face to represent moles, and I did my lip. Y'all saw that. So I'm gonna take this hair wrap off while I finish up telling y'all the things that I've learned relationship wise. This is kind of relationship and self-growth, but I've learned that feelings are not facts, okay? And again, this is one of those things that he always told me while we were in a relationship, but I realized that I had to learn this on my own. For a lot of times I acted off of emotion, and the actions that I did weren't right, but I felt like they were just because my feelings were hurt. I really learned that my emotions ain't what's factual, and I have to think logical sometimes. And also, I just learned to slow down, okay? Like I said, I was always trying to rush stuff, y'all, and now I'm just like, take your time, girl. Just chill out. What are you really rushing for? I'm gonna get some oil for this real quick. I'm like, what are you really rushing for, Aniya? Things will come in God's timing. And the biggest lesson that I think I have learned from this situation, y'all, I'm gonna put some Murray's Cream beeswax. I was trying to get the regular beeswax. That's why my ponytail was looking like this. But I read the wrong thing, so I hope this will help my edges not be so white, or I might have to try some oil. Anyways, lastly, I learned that sometimes people need to break up so they can come back together a better person. Sometimes you are the right person, it's just the wrong time, or that you guys still have lessons to learn. You can get back together. I believe in second chances. I believe in multiple chances because we are human and people are not perfect. Now, there are limits to this. There are limits to this, but I believe that if two people are actively trying to change to better themselves, to be in the relationship again, for the relationship, I believe that it can definitely work out again. All right, guys, so this is the final look. I hope that you like it. I don't know if I'm really feeling my ponytail, but hey, the makeup is bomb, okay? Get into the eyes. Let's get a close-up of the eyes really quick. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I feel like you can never go wrong with a pink cut crease, and you know glitter can always enhance a look. I hope that you've learned something from this video, because I wish I learned these things a little bit sooner, but I am just glad that I have learned these things, and I want to share it with somebody else that may be going through this, or somebody who's already experienced this and have additional tips to offer. Please share them down below. I would like to hear anything else that could save me from making mistakes in the future, as well as other people a part of my community. The 20s is a struggle. It's just a weird area, and I'm just glad to know that there are other people out there going through the same thing as me. This is why I like to share my mistakes. Never am I ashamed of anything that I have done. I've always just used it as a learning lesson. Give yourself grace and know that nobody has this figured out. Nobody knows what we're doing. Just learn how to be a better you. I feel like I've learned to be a better me when I began to deepen my relationship with God. And I was able to really reflect and see the things that I refused to see for so long. And not only just see the things, but able to take action steps towards changing the things that I do not like about myself. Please give this video a big thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe. It helps me reach other people here on this platform. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.